Greater Good Radio. Connect, learn, heal, and grow.
I grew up in a lower middle class family north of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Dad that went to work, mom stayed at home. And unfortunately, my father passed away really young. And so we were a single parent family. My mom remarried quick. My stepfather wasn't like my dad at all. He was a violent, abusive alcoholic. So before the age of 9, I had the grief of losing my father, which we did not process properly. It was the early 70s. We didn't know about grief-informed trauma or, we didn't understand those things. And then I had the ongoing physical, mental, and emotional abuse from my stepdad. So at 9 years old, I began to escape into drugs. And, when I think about the last 4 years, what I was going through was a real sense of insecurity. My world was a shifty place to live. It was a scary place to live. And I know that today, when human beings are dealing with uncertainty, things like inflation, divisiveness in politics, all these things that have happened, COVID, these things, they make us uneasy. And so we seek to change our emotional state. I used drugs for the first time at 9. And for the first time since my dad died, I felt safe. Right. And so it was a place I ran to for the next 15 years. By the time I was 15, I got kicked out of the house. 16, I dropped out of school. And 17, I was involved in the criminal justice system. And I would have been one of those people you see, in downtown Honolulu or San Francisco or LA or Vancouver or Toronto pushing a shopping cart. I slept in parks. I collected cans and bottles to support an opioid dependency. And for all intents and purposes, if you looked at me, I looked like a write-off. And I get that because I wasn't demonstrating to the world any of my potential. But here's the cool thing. I had people who supported me and loved me where I was at. I got a second chance. I went back to school. And in less than 12 years, I was a celebrated entrepreneur. So, one of the things I believe in is possibility. And I remember I was on a park bench once just before I got off the street, there was a guy named Gus, an elder. And I remember he looked at me and he said, Joe, he says, there's more to you than you can see. And at the time I was a dirty, disheveled, street person, but he spoke to my potential, what was just sort of behind that. And Gus was right. I got a second chance. I went into alcohol and drug treatment, back to college, graduated with honors, and then went into the business community. And the transferable skills from that really tough time in my life, I leveraged them in business. Oftentimes when we go through really tough stuff, whether it's our mental health or a challenging relationship or, some challenges with our career or our finances or, if we're going to school, we get on the other side and we now have tools that we harvested from that experience.
If you resonate with Greater Good Radio, please join our community at www.greatergoodradio.com, where you can get access to exclusive content and offerings. Hope to see you soon.